Alrighty then. Hello world. Phil, good, just posted a reel and that distracted me. So, I'm also just nervous. I have no idea what I'm about to record. I don't know. I think Spirit's up to something. And I guess I'm just gonna, I made space on my phone. I was actually good about deleting things that I have backed up. You know, I don't need to keep holding on to attachments and control. We're learning to let go and learning to love ourselves. It's very difficult on this ascent to heaven on earth, vibrationally. I will be your tour guide through the apocalypse, apparently. Because I'm Neo, evidently. I thought that was a character in a movie when I was 13 and saw it. Probably in the theater, I think. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to jump around quite a bit. Go in many different directions. I feel like there's some shadow rising. I've been healing like crazy. I'm very enlightened at this point, to a nauseating level. But it just goes faster and faster the higher you go. And gets pretty trippy. You start to get surrounded by a lot of orbs of light. You start to get very psychic and telepathic. And when you're Neo and you know the physics of where we're headed and how it's going, you can start to, is that an orb? I don't know. You can start to like deduce things logically, like you're Nostradamus, basically. Like, Spirit started to tell me about possible deaths, and as I record this, I don't know. I haven't looked up things. I'm terrified of this sort of thing. This is not comfortable for me to have to be aware of. Spirit, thank you for nothing. But on the other hand, I will say I have connected telepathically with my dad and sister who died a long time ago, and I've also been able to deduce who my mom, dad, and sister's next incarnations are. Their avatar doppelgangers or whatever, the ones that are also already alive or have been alive since before they died or whatever. I mean, we can live parallel to each other. There's no time. We die and then the soul jumps back in at some point, like say 5 years after the last human you were was born, perhaps. Next, there's no time. You jump in and then you experience, as consciousness, you experience a whole bunch of different games and plays and levels of video games, basically. Existence is very weird. I have a lot to explain about my story and how I have arrived somehow at knowing the rule book to the game of life and how existence works and the apocalypse, the Great Ascension, the reincarnation stuff. I'm literally Desmond from the final season of Lost, apparently, for like the exact same reasons. I mean, I didn't implode a hatch onto me, but I was similarly exposed to very high vibrational light energy. It's literally the same physics. The show is not, it's not off in the science. Neither is, I have ice cream in this mug to remember this, Fringe. It's a show that had some writers from Lost. I got some ice cream. I'm not eating well at all anymore because why, right? There's not much time left. I've never felt better physically, despite having eaten much worse the last couple of years. Earlier I had spaghetti with gluten and with cheese. I think it was organic, but at this point, I mean, there's like was spraying stuff everywhere. So I mean, I don't know how much good it's gonna do for things to be organic. So I'm just gonna like eat what I enjoy. A wise man once said something about a happy donut is better than a sad salad or something like that, I think. Was he an actual wise man? I'm a little fuzzy on the details of which ones of my soul family were which biblical figures. But yeah, we're like apparently ascended masters. It was really good. Oh, I have amaretto too. I could put some of that in it. It'd be good. Or put some of my coffee. I should make more coffee. So yeah, I'm just gonna like be random for like the rest of my life and record a lot of it on video. Somebody made a comment. Cool. One of my soul family liked a post I made. I'm finally opening up. And I'm like still judging myself and being like, you're not posting enough fast enough. I'm still observing how I'm controlling. Like now that I'm doing productive things, I'm still looking at how I'm doing them like OCD and taking longer than I need to. And it's like, wait, I could just let go, post the whole videos on YouTube, hire somebody to edit my videos. I mean, like, I'm radically abundant at this point. Being Neo, the highest vibrational human, which does not make me better. I'm apparently chosen, but I'm not better. It's literally like notes on a piano. It's just a higher frequency. It's a higher pitch, it's a higher vibration, vibratory speed. So like you wouldn't say the highest note on the piano is better than the lower notes on the piano. The highest note on the piano might actually sound the most annoying. Like, could you imagine some like child like just banging on the highest note of the piano endlessly? That's my voice, basically. So enjoy. It's gonna be really weird and trippy as I just watch myself making sounds and singing and literally having no idea what I'm going to do moment to moment because I'm that much in flow state now. I have become the male Lori Ladd, basically. And Phil Good is really, really wise and has a lot of orb friends, but I don't know, he's going to have a hard time keeping up with me, I think, because they've been all over the place lately. And then when you smoke weed, they come more around. Ooh, yeah, I hear weird sounds down my ears, my frequencies. I have whatever. I've let go of a lot of denser energies, evidently, that were in my energetic field. Where is this energetic field? It's just here with us, apparently. We have like a whole subconscious mind, Akashic record kind of thing going on with a bunch of information from past lives that we have no idea existed, that are just sitting somewhere, like on our person, in this field, like in a pocket somewhere in the shadow, and we just have no idea about how this works because they don't tell us this in school. And in fact, they tell us that a lot of this stuff is just crazy conspiracy theories. Being emotionally and spiritually healthy, cleansing your meridians, and I don't know, I'm rambling. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. I should slow down and settle in because it's going to be a very long video, perhaps. And I might do a lot of different things that I have no idea what they're going to be at this point. But, so I'm just as entertained as anyone now at this point because I just am like watching this machine be, like I accidentally aligned with my soul aspect and now I don't have free will, basically. I'm basically handcuffed to divine will, which transcends it, where you're at a level of awareness where you just wouldn't choose to not live your dreams. No, there's no pressure, there's no judgment. That's a misconception. The higher realms don't have judgment because judgment is a dense frequency. Physics-wise, it exists here, and that's about it. God would never judge you. You are God. God is your higher self, your highest self, universe level. Jesus is your higher self, actually, or Jesus is soul, the sun, solar system level. As above, so below is very important. I didn't know if the light flickered. I've always had weird experiences with making things happen with lights and electricity. And now that makes more sense. Pops and flashes when I plug in things or unplug things. I'd always give animals and people shocks and then feel very guilty. And I've gotten basically the download recently. And I'm hearing my voice be all weird because it's like I'm just so emptied. I'm like aligned energetically. I've cleaned out so much of the density. Oh my God, so many terms to explain, so many concepts, and I'm gonna want to hurry through because I'm nervous and I'm like, ugh. Alrighty, what shall we do first? Let's see. I don't know. I'm gonna see what happens, one thing at a time. So I'm just like drinking soda. I bought a lot of Easter candy because I expect Easter to be quite the celebration because I think that's when we're going to go to heaven on earth. It could be a different day, no attachments. Truly, I'm just along for the ride at this point, floating up into the sky. It's very, very crazy. But yeah, I don't think your diet has any negative impact on your health unless you believe that it does, because we're God, and belief creates reality. So once you get to a certain level of unlimited thinking, where you've truly brainwashed yourself in a healthy way towards being positive and grateful and optimistic and present and truly believing that you're unlimited, actually believing that you're God, because you are. We're just God in slow motion down here in this dimension that has this time thing. So we don't instant manifest. We manifest over this period of time. There's a time lag, which is affected by how much karmic baggage we are holding in our energetic field, which is weighing down our vibration, and it creates you get stuck, not doing things that are highest path. You just get stuck on the wheel of karma, lifetime after lifetime, which, from the soul perspective, is nothing because there's no time. But from our perspective, it's really painful. And yeah, we might even resent the higher realms at times, and that's okay. They understand. Again, it's as above, so below. It's like the parts of us that get really triggered and then we're mean to ourselves. Well, they're really enlightened. They're not like that to their shadow aspects. When we kick and scream, they love us and hold us and forgive us, and they're unconditional love per physics at the level of vibration they're at. They're not thinking about fear or judgment. This whole concept of being God-fearing is a matrix program. They have gotten their claws into religion as well, it would appear. The Bible, very accurate scientifically, I believe, in a lot of ways, I'm sure. And it's entirely possible that man has messed it up at some point, altered it. I don't know. I'm not going to trust any external authority. I was told that no false idols actually means no external authorities by God, because nothing is outside of you. There is no separation. That's an illusion. If you're worshiping something outside of you, or if you believe something outside of you is going to save you or is an authority over you, that's a false idol. Really, worshiping God is worshiping your higher self, your future, your higher aspects. You are multidimensional. You are in all the different floors of the spiritual skyscraper of dimensions. There are just more and more puzzle pieces of God at the lower vibrations. There's more density, there's more space in between them. And then as you go up in vibration, the puzzle pieces get put back together, they get glued back together, they unify into bigger pieces of light that are higher vibrational, that have a higher wattage, that are closer to source, farther from darkness. This is just simple physics. Then you go up another dimension. I didn't know all this until recently, but it makes a lot of logical sense. Like when you go up frequency-wise to higher and higher dimensions, there's more unification. The shards of light get more and more magnetized back together. Darkness cannot exist in the presence of light, so there's more and more integration of the darkness. And the fields unify. Anything that was once bonded physically remains eternally bonded energetically per quantum mechanics. And what's happening with the universe is it's just contracting back to source. It's sort of like if you touch your finger to a bowl of water and you see ripples go out to the edge, and then it goes back to the source. As above, so below. It's very important. So, yeah, I'm just rambling about a whole bunch of parts already. Probably talking too fast or jumping around. It's all good. No judgment. But yeah, God doesn't judge. And God is not outside of us. We just keep unifying until higher vibrations, until we're unified at source. Because ultimately everything is one. We're all equal aspects. We're drops in the ocean of God, basically. We're fractals of light off of a massive light. The sun, and then bigger suns in other parts of the universe that are, I guess, more centralized than wherever we are. And yes, we gradually just ascend in vibration as we magnetize back together, and that causes there to be more lower vibrational aspects unifying together as fewer and fewer higher vibrational aspects. And we're not the body, we're the soul. So we're starting to get to where we're at a vibration where we're transcending this whole idea about death. What is that, right? Since we're God, our beliefs create our reality. So we've literally believed death into existence and then developed fears and attachments around it and just solidified it. We don't have to do that anymore. We can just cry and blow our noses and soak in the sunlight, which we can't see, but it's raining abundance right now for a while. And every time you get triggered and don't let it out, you're getting sicker. You're getting more and more energetically imbalanced. The light is trying to pressurize the shadow into your conscious awareness through your meridians, into your heart chakra, which would try to purify it, or what, I don't know how this works. I'm just repeating things that came to my conscious awareness. At this point, I can't have negative thoughts, really. As long as I'm not like wildly misaligned going through an ebb, and all that's okay too, by the way. Like, we're meant to ebb and flow. It's sort of like you're standing in the high tide, and you're connected to the ocean of God, and you remember, hey, yeah, I'm part of this. I'm one with this. Then it goes to low tide, and you get a little whatever anxiety because you feel separate from it. When you're not, it's just low tide. And that's really how it works. The ebb and flow of existence, light and darkness. It's really the heartbeat of existence. And once you can understand the basic science of it, it really is. I think it's pretty easy to understand for most people, because you can just when you get to this level of awareness, it gets easy to explain in fun ways with metaphors, because I don't consider myself to be as anywhere near as spiritually wise as Phil Good, but I'm tapping into levels of the radio station where I can't help but come up with some interesting stuff, apparently. And I keep impressing myself, and I keep getting really trippy downloads. And again, I keep getting like Nostradamus-like download things that are telling me about people dying. And I don't want to really know that. But by the same token, death isn't real. And when sometimes they tell me about somebody dying and they're like, oh, but by the way, this was you in a past life, and your soul set it up this way so that one of your avatars could become aware of the other avatar before they died. Talk about it. Have video evidence of you talking about it prior. Have text message, evidence of you talking about it beforehand. And then handle it delicately, tactfully, because I don't want to scare people. I don't want to... Could you imagine if I end up being the thing that causes somebody to have a heart attack by starting a rumor? This person might die soon, and then they end up hearing about it. And could you imagine? Like, that's like a weird time travel-y sort of horror movie script thing, whatever. But yeah, I gotta not create any more karma. Gotta use my awareness and discernment and be like, okay, what is ethical? You have a very high level of ethical integrity when you raise your awareness to this extent. You become aware logically of certain like mathematical laws pertaining to vibration and physics and love and fear and density and you just how this works, and you start to just logically deduce things. And all the orbs, they're really, there's going to be like 10 million orbs in this video probably, or not, it doesn't matter. But I've seen some flashes around me. I don't think I'm crazy. I think I'm actually blessed. There's a line from Lost. Yeah, that show is really important. We'll talk about it randomly here and there. We'll talk about a lot of things. Jason Mraz's music. This is the Jason Mraz sweatshirt. I've got a whole bunch of Jason Mraz. I've got a lot of goodies in this room. I didn't realize you can't really see anything but me. But yeah, a whole bunch of Easter candy. Again, it doesn't matter what you eat if you truly believe that it doesn't matter what you eat, because you're God. So you can choose for that to be reality. Again, time and death are illusions that we can become aware enough to transcend through just crying, basically, and getting sunlight. Even if we don't go outside. This energy is just pressurizing us and forcing us to cry or get crazy or get angry at each other. And most people just have been so conditioned into not feeling their feelings and not upsetting people. Not wanting to cry when somebody else in the other room might hear you, or not wanting to scream or scare people or appear weak or vulnerable. It is very difficult and very uncomfortable being a human and actually going through trauma and then healing trauma and being like, wait, it's like gotta come through us and be let out fully, and otherwise we hold on to it for like lifetimes. So with Dolores telling me that this, I don't know if I mentioned this part, minor detail. So this whole being Neo thing evidently comes along with, you know, your past lives, including some important people. Being with your soul being the sun. Okay, so basically, so these people are Jesus Christ and John Lennon, among others. And they could just be screwing with me. It would be brilliant of them to just say what they need to say, because they are like 100 chess moves ahead of any of us. So theoretically, they could just, knowing how OCD I am and knowing how passionate I am about service and that I'm smart, I want to heal, and I'm like, wait, I logically see that I want to maximize my voice. I want to heal myself and raise my vibration so I can align with the version of me that wouldn't have any fear or shame or doubt, that would have healed his trauma and be able to just be himself authentically and shine his light and sing and teach physics, apparently. I didn't even have physics in school. It's really ironic. And reunite soul family and be like, you guys, we all know each other from other lifetimes, and this is a crazy concept to everybody until like 5 minutes ago, and guess what? I'm Desmond from Lost, and we've done this. We crashed on an island before. You guys were together. You guys are like actually brother and sister. Did you realize? Yeah, you guys are like cousins, and yeah. Anyway, all kinds of connections. So it's a very weird mission. But my point is, Jesus Christ. Anyway, they could be screwing with me. They could totally just be getting. And again, they're so brilliant, and I'm aware enough, and I'm willingly playing the game, apparently in the way that they want humans to play it, where you're actually trying to heal your karma, and you're facing inward, and you're not getting distracted by materialism. All this stuff that we have in our modern life is not really part of our organic template. We're animals that have been domesticated and like just have gotten distracted by the flashing lights at the zoo. Like we could have it a lot better, where we, like every other animal on the planet, know how to like eat and stay warm and have shelter for free because of instincts and intuition. There's supposed to be this other sense called the sixth sense. That's like the first sense, apparently, because it connects you in your energetic river that has been polluted by matrix programming. It blows up the dam. It gets out the pollution. It allows you to reconnect to the sea of consciousness, sea of God. Anyhow, so I'm just rambling, different areas. I mean, it's important information. I want to tell more about my history, how I've arrived where I am, what I've been through. Hopefully we can cry on camera. That would be great, because if I'm to the point where I'm vulnerable enough to do that, then that would help other people cry more, which would help us get this flash going, because we really just need to cry and send love to the parts of ourselves that are wounded and stop distracting ourselves and let ourselves feel things that are uncomfortable and tell ourselves that we're logically enough and we're unlimited and we're infinite and eternal and we're not the body, we're the soul, and we're just going to blend the frequencies of heaven and earth scientifically. You know, it's not that complicated. I mean, it makes sense at this, you know, eventually you start to be like, oh yeah, this sort of makes sense. Heaven's a place. Everything is real. Like our imagination is real because we have it. Everything is possible that anyone could possibly imagine. It's why it's possible to be imagined. Imagine all the people living life in peace if we weren't enslaved and domesticated and poisoned from all angles. That would be swell. And we're literally going to transcend that through awareness and being kind to ourselves and one another and being authentic and just feeling feelings. This isn't that complicated. We just have to remember how to cry and scream and get angry and not judge ourselves and release attachments. All earthly attachments must go, tethering us to the third dimensional matrix. It doesn't feel good down there. We're just attached. The egos are just attached to anything familiar. And what's familiar to us is quite dysfunctional and codependent, no judgment, and toxic and enslaved, suppressed, unconscious, materialistic. We're just not used to having much spiritual depth. We've lost our connection with nature. We've gotten transfixed by these phones, and I've always hated them, and now I ironically have to talk into it many hours a day, apparently, going forward to spread enlightenment like a germ. Because germs can't actually be spread. That doesn't make any sense. And we all learn as like 8-year-olds that that's theoretical. And then they don't bother to tell us any other theories. And then it happens to be like a multi-trillion-dollar business as well, that if germ theory were disproven, then the government and the media would go out of business because of the pharmaceutical cartel being rich. A lot more powerful than those other things. So needless to say, there's some motivation in suppressing the information that disproves germ theory. But I don't think that germ theory is false because I don't believe in falsehood. So fact checkers, germ theory is true in the minds of those who believe it is. And terrain theory is true in the minds of those who think it is. And any other belief that anyone else in the universe has is true because they're God and they create their reality. So it is. By virtue of being God, anything once you can get this logically and hammer that in, that kind of makes you pretty powerful. Once you can understand just mathematically, oh, I can choose to believe something into existence. I can set an intention, understand mathematically, scientifically, because I'm not enslaved anymore, that I'm God, and the world leaders and billionaires had been manipulating us gradually over time into forgetting that we were God so that we would believe ourselves into a hole. It works like that. Where limiting beliefs, you spiral downward, and then the more you deepen your unlimited beliefs, and by the way, the more you do this, the more you start to manifest quicker. You start to actually bear witness to the fact that, oh, wow, yeah, we can't instant manifest quite yet. But I was manifesting really, really, really slowly before, and not at all, usually. Just chilling, doing nothing, being miserable and lonely, and not functioning very well for a long time. And all of that was apparently meant to be so that I could transcend it and then share a relatable story or something. I don't know. And also have some parallel life to like understand the journey of Jesus's soul so that I could relate and whatever. It's really brilliant. I lost my train of thought, though. I was saying something else that was important, and then I got distracted by Jesus. Alrighty. John Lennon, transcending death. Yeah. Yeah, so once you believe without limit, and you feel shame and fear and trauma and stuff, you start to recognize that you're manifesting quicker. You start to recognize that you can choose to let go of control or karma more and more, which allows your vibration to float up to align with the version of you that would be high vibrational enough to be aligning physics-wise with love and abundance and happy things that are at higher vibrations than the sad, sludgy, slow vibrating things that we don't enjoy. And we're ready to let go of them. And we've been feeling a lot of them lately, not because things are getting worse, not because it's the end of the world, but because we're detoxing. We're literally just having all of it come up to finally be released so that we can blend heaven and earth, so we can transcend, so we can wake up and heal this. Now that we're awakening to what we've been in, we are activating the sun. The sun is a symbiotic relationship with us. It's our higher self. We get, there are meridians that connect everything to everything. So Okay, so the Son is the soul of Christ and Lenin and myself and others that I will eventually name. And I'll probably learn more, and I'm probably wrong about some parts of it because they deceive me and because it's a process. It's very confusing. Learning how to differentiate between telepathy and thought, and then where thought starts to disappear, and I don't know, I'm rambling. But, so the Son, yeah. So I'm an individual representation of the Son. All of us collectively are a collective representation of the Son. It's the Son of the great central Sun, Source. Some people call it God. I think of God more as everything combined. And also I think the word God is lower vibrational because of how man has perverted the word and tarnished it and stuff. And it's just, even religion, I mean, even well-intentioned Christians, a lot of them are probably worshiping God and Jesus in a way that they themselves would say, we love you unconditionally. We're not going to judge you. You are us at lower states of awareness and vibration. Just denser fragments. We're like cells within the body of God. It's like a big dude, and we're like a body part, and not realizing we're part of a bigger body, and we're just like the cells in a certain body part, and then we're all going to war with other body parts, or we're like the toenail on one foot that's painted red, arguing with the blue toenail on the other foot, not realizing that there's like legs that go up above the clouds and combine to be a torso of the same dude. That's kind of sort of how it works. When there's just a veil, we don't know that there's anything else up there. We're just unconscious to it. But then at higher levels of awareness, it turns out that bigger numbers of things, like a bunch of toes and multiple feet, turn out to be one guy. So weird things like that I'll come up with at some points to just randomly try to explain stuff. But then no accidents. It's all destiny. It's all quantum entanglement. It's very complicated, convoluted, but perfect and symmetrical, evenly balanced between light and darkness. Patterns of physics. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, evidently. And energy also cannot be destroyed. I mean, these are like day one physics things that I know just because of having taken physical science or something. I didn't make it through much of school, which was good, apparently, because it's less to unlearn. And I got to watch society crumble from like outside of it for 20 years, just being like, do people not recognize how dysfunctional they're getting? Do people not recognize how dystopian the entertainment has suddenly become this decade? A lot of zombie things, Hunger Games, a lot of stuff started happening there around 2010-ish. Second half of a 20-year communist demoralization package. Started with that 2000 election. That lowered a few people's vibrations quite a bit, to have all the pregnant Chads and all the hanging Chads and everything in Florida, and George Bush. I mean, everybody in politics sucks, okay? But I don't judge anybody. I love, everybody's God. I'm just saying, it's funny in retrospect to be like, he probably didn't win. I mean, Al Gore was like, again, they're all evil. Anyway. I don't care about all that stuff anymore. I never did, actually. I never voted. I turned 18 on election day, too, ironically. No coincidences, apparently. A lot of things. I turned 29 the day that orange guy won. That was very distracting. I do not care for any of these people. I don't understand this addiction that humans have with being governed. We didn't ask for anyone to tell us what to do. We didn't ask to be here. We're not going to hurt anybody just because we don't want to follow the legal system when it's against the law, natural law, God's law. Do men have the right to... I mean, really, throwing men in a cage? I don't know, two wrongs don't make a right? Jail doesn't seem that ethical. It seems like a control mechanism, too. But yeah, we don't need to do those things in heaven and earth. Like, we don't understand that we can just have peace with each other. It's very simple. We've just been manipulated and traumatized and pitted against each other in innumerable ways for longer than we've been alive. So we don't recognize how advanced the divide and conquer tactics and the subconscious mind manipulation, literal inception, They plant seeds in our idea through entertainment so that we, as creators, our imaginations, the images in our collective consciousness become these things that we expect to happen, or these things we see in movies. And so they make the movies, the futures, the dystopian futures they want it to be. They put suggestions in the news, and it's just very insidious and sinister. And very advanced quantum physics, very advanced human psychology awareness. I mean, they have a lot of money, and they keep things secret, the governments, from the people. 1947. What's it called? National Security Act. So they can basically just censor anything or prevent anything from going to trial, even like child sex trafficking, because if they can argue that it's a threat to national security, because it's a threat to some of the people who are pedophiles in our government, and so it would be a threat to our national security for them to get in trouble for breaking the law. So yeah, that my mom was born in 1947. No coincidences. Roswell. A lot of big things happened there after World War II. Starting to get a little suspicious of those world wars too. You know, after COVID and after 9/11 and everything else, I'm starting to think that maybe we've been lied to for longer than we realized. And maybe a lot of things in the history books aren't true. Okay? Now, I don't want to get in trouble here. A lot of people really hate that Hitler guy. And I don't judge anyone. I have no idea. I wasn't there. I'm simply pointing out that two of our three allies were Joseph Stalin and Chairman Mao, two of our three main allies. And I'm pretty sure they killed a lot of people as well. So it's entirely possible that the winners of a war, when they're also evil, genocidal maniacs, they might have money and power to influence the press and the history books. So I'm just saying, take everything with a grain of salt that you didn't learn from within. All this false idol, all this external authority stuff, all this just getting conditioned to go to school and learn how to take orders from somebody that's telling you what to do. There's nothing wrong with learning. There's nothing wrong with... There's a lot of wonderful teachers. It's just the system in general doesn't make a lot of logical sense for animals that are in touch with their intuition. Because once you're reconnected to the sea of consciousness, you end up just knowing how to navigate abundantly. And you just choose to do things that your intuition tells you, and that's scientifically destined to bring you towards radical abundance. All you have to do is clear out the corrupt matrix programming of doubt, shame, and fear, which are liars. They're not true. There's no reason to have any doubt because everything is possible in the quantum field. You are unlimited as God. Doubt is illogical. Shame, I'm not enough. You are. You are one with everything. You're not outside of the puzzle. You're one of the puzzle pieces that becomes part of every puzzle above it too. And until you're part of Source, it's complicated. But it's not. As above, so below. I lost my train of thought. Fear. There's nothing to fear but fear itself. Somebody once said, I think. And that's so true, because there's nothing to fear once you know you're immortal and that you're just consciousness choosing to play challenging video games that are very real feeling. I don't want to get tortured and have bad things happen. I agree. Cancel clear. But God, when you're at the level of God, when you're at the level of consciousness, everything sort of just simply is, because everything in the quantum field is infinite. So if everything exists and is just existing at all forms, at all various vibrations in existence, you're going to have things that we have labeled bad because they are the lower vibrations. That include things that we have discovered down here that exist. Things like fear and shame and guilt and all these horrible things that we judge when they're simply experiences that our soul chose to have, so that we could come back to the light and be really grateful and be like, wow, we remember. It's like Jason Mraz talks about remember, forget. That's what God chooses to do. Consciousness chooses to forget for the sake of remembrance. The absence of the light is indeed a necessary part. Life is wonderful. He's got a lot of important lyrics. Dolores Cannon, my main guide, and God, have told me repeatedly. Because if I'm John Lennon, he's Paul McCartney. Of course, right? Because they told me that. And they do have a striking resemblance from old pictures of them from their 20s. And I'm like, what? And there's like an old dream that Jason had where he was talking to Paul. And yeah, there's no coincidences, just so you know. It's going to become a theme as we start to connect things in hilarious ways, millions of times, until it's just going to be so fun. Once other people start to, look, the more you raise your vibration, the more you align with your highest timelines and clear out the karma and trauma, the more you heal, the more you believe unlimitedly. I'm losing my train of thought. The more, I don't know, the easier it gets. What was I going to say? Something important. I don't know. I got plenty of time here. I have some jelly beans. More, shoot. I have so many different kinds of Easter candy, it's crazy. I've eaten so much worse the last couple of years than I had the previous several years. I feel so much better physically because I've healed energetically, spiritually, and emotionally. And all that's connected. I got like all kinds of chocolate bunnies and stuff. Fitting for Neo. Gold bunny. Because we're entering the golden kingdom of light, the age of enlightenment. And, you know, follow the white rabbit, all that. The Matrix, Alice in Wonderland. All these things connect through the patterns of quantum entanglement. The show Lost, the show Fringe, Beatles music, Jason Mraz. What else? Wizard of Oz. Rick and Morty, Willy Wonka. Everybody should read Dolores Cannon's books, probably, because they're like more accurate than the Bible, apparently, or any religious text. Just, she was enlightened. I think she was Mother Mary in another life. Oh, I think she was my mom and grandma, too. Oh, and my dad was an incarnation of Source, apparently. So I've been told. And I also know who the current one is. But that's a lot to put on somebody, so probably shouldn't say it out loud right now. I should probably tell him first. You know you're God. But not really, just the highest. You're just the individual current representation in human form that's being controlled by the game player known as the Great Central Sun. That's all. I'm the individual representation that is being played by a video game player known as the Sun. So you're welcome for keeping you all warm and alive. And for that whole crucifixion thing. Not that it was me. I don't remember that yet. But eventually I will, apparently, words. This is awkward for me. I didn't ask for this. My human had no idea. I just, as the observer, can't help but mathematically be aware that it's not possible for this information to be known by other people without us having reached mass enlightenment. It's just the nature of this frequency, apparently. Kind of up there. Okay, so I don't know. I should smoke some more and try to get some downloads. I should try to sing some. I don't know. I have this idea in my head about doing like a 2 or 3 hour video. I want to try this. I don't know. I've been guided. I don't know. I can't take credit for this. It makes logical sense to me though. And I should take credit for more things because I've had a lot of analysis that's gone into this. I didn't know there were other aspects of me. It's very confusing. But this whole COVID test thing, I wanted to do a before and after crying test just to see. I'm curious. Now, I don't know. I'm not attached. Doesn't matter to me. It would serve to reason that a PCR test or any of these things, whatever they're measuring, it's not viruses, because they don't exist according to any scientific evidence we've ever seen. And good luck proving me wrong. Right, fact checkers? Yeah, good. And they do exist as well, I promise, because at least one person in the universe believes that they exist. And there's no such thing as falsehood. There's just higher or lower vibrational truth that is experienced by different vibrational levels of consciousness. That's how it works. So think about beliefs that you don't hold, that are opposite, basically, of what you believe, things that you're passionate about, that you might get angry at somebody for holding the opposite belief of from you, and recognize that no matter what belief you're holding, no matter what side you're on, the other person's truth is true per physics. You're getting triggered because of your trauma, your shadow. That's a judgment. And all judgment is self-judgment per quantum mechanics, because everything is one. Everything is an aspect of everything else. Our physical reality just mirrors back to show us how we're perceiving it through this lens of our experiences and our shadow and our expectations and our beliefs. And that's going to reflect back to us a situation in a different way for us than it would for an enlightened person or for a sociopath or for various levels of consciousness. Different people are going to experience the same situations in different ways through the lens of their perception, which is guided by what they've experienced. And if we're all enslaved and traumatized, we're going to then have a lot of trauma responses that aren't necessarily in our highest interest, but they might be what we're used to doing. And our ego is attached to the familiar, and we have a lot of fear and programming, and not a lot of compassion for ourselves. And we're holding a lot of judgments and a lot of control mechanisms. And there's nothing wrong with any of this. And we're learning to let go, and we're learning to love ourselves, and learning to accept each other and realize, it's not worth it to try to argue with people who are simply a different vibrational level. They're not better or worse. They're just different notes on the piano. They're different colors on the rainbow. They're just different parts of this light and sound spectrum, frequency and vibrationally, that are not harmonious with you physics-wise. They simply are. And it's going to behoove you a lot more to just allow yourself to be attracted in the direction of like vibrational things that you align with. No matter what note of the piano you're on, it's all perfect. It's all divine. And allow the others to be without trying to control or censor anyone, because we're not meant to do that. We're meant to experience lessons and have soul evolution and to give and receive love, and we're meant to learn how to manipulate energy, to remember how to manifest when we have this time issue that causes us to have discipline and to have dedication, to stick with it, to be like, this isn't easy. It takes time to manifest in this dimension. We can get discouraged, and then we can believe that we're limited based off of not seeing the results. And then we can believe ourselves into a hole where we're just going to slow ourselves down more, because our belief is going to create that reality and perpetuate it. But I'm telling you, the more you raise your beliefs and start to clear karma and heal and release control and start to just let your inner child, your intuition nudge you, and you just take action as quickly, as instantaneously, as spontaneously, without doubting yourself and blocking yourself. That's sort of what I did with this tonight. I wasn't going to record it, but then I just felt this sense of, let's just start recording and see what happens. Because I felt like that's what Spirit is expecting, and I'd be safe, and I would get downloads, whatever. Who knows? It's all right so far. What was I saying, though? I don't know. All kinds of things. Yeah, it's really hard to keep my train of thought. So let's smoke some more weed and make it even worse. What kind should I do? I should get more flour and do edibles at some point. So I was guided, I'm going to meet my soulmate really soon. That's exciting. I'm guided about deaths, which is not so exciting. But then I'm guided about the end of the world, but it's not really a bad thing, because death is not real. We're just, like Eckhart Tolle said in The Power of Now, something to the effect of, the idea is to die before you die and realize there is no death. Meaning you basically experience ego death, death to time, death to the past. You reach enlightenment, and you reach a vibrational level where you're no longer stuck on this karmic wheel of separation and time lags and frustration and stuff. And then you ascend, or you eventually transcend death, because once you understand it logically enough, now no human has probably been to this point in a while because we haven't had I'm not better than anybody else. I just happened to realize to cry was important and realize what's happening with the solar energies. I'm like, hey, the more we can get out, the more we're making room for love and light, physics wise. And it just comes in and raises our vibration, and we start to get cool downloads and get closer to love and farther from fear. It's healthy to let that stuff out. Every time you suppress an uncomfortable emotion, you're saying, I want to keep this in my energetic field and let it spoil, while the temperature on the vibration is going up, and it's causing this. It's basically like the temperature going up and causing meat to spoil. You're keeping stuff in your internal refrigerator that's causing you to have energetic imbalance and then develop disease. That becomes like tumors and stuff. Like, if you want to heal physically, you got to let go emotionally and spiritually, and to attachments and to judgments and all this trauma, and heal it and feel it. And you got to experience it on the way out. It's really painful. But when you do it, love is on the other side of fear. Smiles on the other side of tears. Wisdom's on the other side of years. The other side of yesterday is here. That's a Jason Mraz song. He has a lot of those that are very interestingly fitting, to a point where it will get comical. How often I will just have endless Jason Mraz and Beatles lyrics to say that are applicable to what I'm trying to say about physics and stuff. Because it's not a coincidence. They were enlightened. And we're all one. Ultimately, there's one of us here, and we're just God giving himself like this amnesia and like a surprise party, happy ending, weird. I don't know. It's very, yeah, it's weird. Anyway,